car financing ripoffs. They got taken. You don't have to when buying a car. Stay tuned.
This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather reporting from CBS News headquarters in New York.
CBS's Eye on America all this week is reporting on and exposing businesses that take advantage of you, their customers, often costing you thousands of dollars. Tonight we give you a look at new car dealers, the crooked variety. CBS's Jim Acosta shows you how easy it is to get ripped off when you finance a new car.
We know a crime was committed.
Yeah. Jolene and Ben Caraballo were sold a lemon, not their Hyundai. It's not the car.
I love the car.
Their deal was a lemon, one that cost them thousands. How many of you were ripped off by more than $1,000? These car buyers are suing their dealers for essentially the same scheme. In nearly all of their contracts, finance charges were manipulated. Unapproved extras were slipped in, and sometimes signatures were forged, so the deals would sail through the banks.
Finance manager related that he did forge my signature to quote-unquote expedite the paperwork.
They didn't even think about maybe grabbing the old contract and even trying to forge it. They just didn't care.
You're not smart enough as a consumer to find a lot of these things. It's in the paperwork hidden.
Disgruntled consumers are not alone in accusing some car dealers of fraud. Industry insiders are stepping off the showroom floor to blow the whistle.
I was taught to steal money from people.
And you were good at it?
Very good at it. On top of the field.
Now, former car salesman Dwayne Overholt is teaming up with trial lawyers to crack down on the industry. How did you do it?
Taking advantage of people, trusting in me, looking at their weaknesses.
When we sent a consumer into a Tennessee dealership with a hidden camera, we saw how important it is to shop around for financing.
And what's the interest rate? 16.95.
Our shopper was quoted an interest rate 5 to 10 points higher than he could have gotten elsewhere.
Is that the lowest interest rate that I can get? Well, that's the lowest that we have found so far.
My specialty was doctoring the credit applications and making you feel good about paying 12, 14% interest when you could have got 6.
Brett Sams worked finance in Florida. He got the banks to sign off on doctored applications by stuffing extras into contracts, then drawing up 2 different sets of paperwork.
We'd have to put a DVD player or something in, so one copy would go to the lender, one copy to you.
It's an evil practice that should stop.
Jack Fitzgerald owns 35 dealerships in 3 states. He's calling on the big car manufacturers to stop these ripoffs by enforcing their contracts with the dealers. Contracts that require the dealers to lawfully sell their cars with only equipment or accessories requested by customers.
If you do dishonorable things, you can have your franchise taken away from you.
They hunted us.
But industry pressure won't help Ben and Jolene Caraballo, who got a crash course on how to steer clear of a lemon, the kind you sign on the dotted line. In Tampa, this is Jim Acosta for Eye on America.
From CBS News, Harry Smith, Hannah Storm, Julie Chen, and Renee Seiler bring you The Early Show.
Starting up a brand new day.
All week in partnership with the CBS Evening News, we've been uncovering some of the ways that people get ripped off in a series called Taking Advantage. Well, this morning we look at the risks that consumers face when it comes to buying new cars. As CBS News correspondent Jim Acosta reports, the sticker price can be the least of your worries.
We know a crime was committed.
Yeah. Jolene and Ben Caraballo were sold a lemon, not their Hyundai. It's not the car.
I love the car.
Their deal was a lemon. How many of you were ripped off by more than $1,000? The Caraballos and these other car buyers are suing their dealers for essentially the same scheme.
These are trained con men.
They allege in their contracts finance charges were manipulated, unapproved extras were slipped in, or sometimes signatures were forged on contracts sent to the bank.
They didn't even think about maybe grabbing the old contract and even trying to forge it. They just didn't care.
Disgruntled consumers are not alone in accusing some car dealers of fraud. Industry insiders are stepping off the showroom floor to blow the whistle. Former car salesman Dwayne Overholt once raked in millions in crooked deals. How did you do it?
Taking advantage of people, trusting in me, looking at their weaknesses.
Now, as a whistleblower, Overholt says car buyers should know the kind of financing they could get from a lender.
And what's the interest rate? 6.895.
When we sent a shopper to a dealership with a hidden camera, he was offered financing that could have cost him $3,500 more than a deal we found elsewhere. Quoting a higher rate is not illegal, but insiders say you should shop the rate and the terms as hard as you shop for the car, so you won't be taken for a ride at the finance office, called F&I.
Some of the people that specialize in F&I have pushed the envelope, and they're getting the whole industry a black eye, and the whole industry doesn't deserve a black eye.
Jolene and Ben say their dealer pushed the envelope, so they plan to push back in court. Jim Acosta, CBS News, Tampa.
Jack Otter from Smart Money Magazine has some tips to help you get the best deal on a car. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so we are excited about going to get our new car. We head into the dealership. We're a little bit intimidated, but what do we need to do before we even get there?
First, calm down. Go on the internet.
Calm down, yeah.
Don't get too excited about that bright red car. Go on the internet, find the price, and you want to find the actual cost to the dealer. Edmunds.com is a great place, but there are plenty of other sites too. And they'll even tell you, okay, here's a reasonable profit. I mean, they're not going to give it to you at cost, of course. So you have that base price, and that's without leather and sunroofs and all that stuff. Don't worry about that for now. Just the base price of the car, and you take that into the dealership, and you're trying to get that price.
All right, so there are some tips, though, that we can use outside of that to get the best price. And one of those, I think, is to kind of hold your cards close to your vest. Don't divulge so much information about how you plan to pay, right?
Absolutely. And another step you're going to take before going to the dealership is you go to the bank, and you get the best financing deal you can possibly get. Right now, that's around 5% loan. And when you go to the bank and you've got that in your pocket, you also know how much you can reasonably afford for the car. So then when the dealer tries to focus you on that monthly payment you and I talked about, no way. You're talking about the base price of the car, and you want to get that price from him. Only after that's established do you say, well, okay, I think I'm going to finance it. The bank gave me this rate. Can you beat it? But don't let him focus you on those monthly payments, because they try to divert you from the total cost, and you'll end up paying more.
But they really know what they're doing, and we're not as sure-footed when we go into buy a car. I mean, you know, what is it about being in the car dealership that makes us so nervous?
I think it's that A, we're excited, and B, they have all the information and we have so little. I mean, we don't know what the real cost is when they tell you, well, you know, we don't have too many blue ones in the Northeast, so we can't get you that. You know, and they all have the heating package. Just forget about that. Just decide what you want before you go in there, and be ready to walk if they can't deliver it, because I promise you that as you start to turn around, they'll magically find that car.
That has happened to me before. Okay, now, the other thing is, how much money should we be willing to put down? Because a lot of times they say, next to no money down.
Well, yeah, I'd be wary of those, and that's another great reason to go to the bank first, because the bank is going to help you figure out what you can actually afford. 10% down is a good rule of thumb. Another good rule of thumb is do not borrow for more than 48 months. 36 months is probably smarter. Because, again, this is where the dealer will try to string it out to 72 months, and, wow, you're only paying $200 a month. But the danger is you're going to end up with a car that's worth less than the value of that loan.
Jack Otter, Smart Money, thanks so much.